whatever it take us from the beginning to here to this success is not going to take us to where we want to be.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Peter O. Estevez Show. This is your host, Peter O. Estevez. Welcome. Today we have José Ochoa. José is a good friend of mine from El Paso, Texas. He's an award-winning Mexican-American entrepreneur, engineer, business innovation evangelist. He started a multi-million-dollar company in the U.S. and in Mexico, including Global Containers Custom Packaging, Inc., a logistic and packaging company, and Reikoku, I hope I pronounced that correctly. If not, Jose will correct me shortly. LLC, a consulting company. Jose was born in Chihuahua, Mexico. Jose has an engineer degree from the Instituto Tecnológico de Chihuahua, número 2, and worked as a packaging engineer for Delphi, where he immersed himself in the operational logistics and packaging industry. He was a global packaging engineer for Siemens, designing products and processes efficiencies that pivoted to his venture in 2008. Jose and a partner launched Global Containers and Custom Packages de México S.A.D.C.V. to fill the industry gap. Integrated packaging logistics services committed to providing flawless customer experience. In 2009, his company expanded to El Paso, Texas, leading a decade of growth and expansion. In 2019, Jose and his team won the Bridge Accelerator, an intensive, highly specialized program sponsored by Microsoft that selects local suppliers from the border region and ramps up their operations to international business standards to make them more viable members of the border supply chain. That award included $25,000, which Jose used to expand his binational footprint, Mexico, U.S. Hello, Jose Ochoa, my friend. Welcome to the Peter O. Estevez Show.
Peter, thank you for having me. Thank you for giving me the time to have a great conversation with you.
Thank you, Jose. No, thank you for your time, and thank you for allowing us a space to share your story. You know, although I just listed an incredible number of accolades and accomplishments that you have had, it has not always been easy. Okay, particularly the award for Microsoft could not come at a better time after you had lost a client that filed for bankruptcy and literally almost pushed you to the verge of filing for bankruptcy yourself, making your company lose over $1 million in the span of a week. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Well, I consider that event as I turned that event or tragic event, challenging event as an advantage, right? How do you turn that as an advantage or as a solution? Just by sharing the story, by offering the knowledge to others. And the way I see that event, it's like $1 million master degree in business, right? Because education is not the most expensive thing on life. It's business. Business is the most expensive education. Okay, so yeah, that happened back in 2018, and overnight, one of our biggest clients, it was like 70%, almost 70% of our business operations, they filed for bankruptcy. So it was massive. It really shakes our company and ourselves to the ground. And it was a big event for us to reinvent, to analyze what we are doing good, what we are doing wrong. And so at the end of the day, we only recuperate like $45,000. We learned how's the process of bankruptcies here in the United States. It was something new for us. And but it really stretched myself a lot. So in the moment that I realized that the value is not on a company and it's not on the money, it's on me and my knowledge and my reputation and my network. So from that moment, I start building, and it happens that I saw that initiative on this business accelerator program, call it the Bridge Accelerator, and I enrolled the company on that. We reinvest some money when you are in that situation, $2,000-3,000 is a lot of money, right? And so we decided to reinvest on that, and that program of accelerating our company provide us, the new morale, the new skills, capabilities, and to change the narrative as a team. So I was pitching on the demo day, the last day of this event, and I was fortunate enough to win the first prize, which because of the best value proposition on the market in the region. So Microsoft gave us $25,000, what that we used to reinvest in the company, and part of the rebuilding of the company. So that was a big event that I always compare on my speaking sessions. Like, if someone gave me the choice to say, okay, you know what, either you suffer a punch in the mouth from Mike Tyson on his prime, or you got through this financial setback. I thousand times will prefer the punch from Mike Tyson on my mouth than that. So it was challenging, inevitable, but we take out of that a lot of learning.
Well, you certainly face some challenges and adversities, but you kind of been used to that, Jose, right? And we're going to get a little bit into your story, who Jose is, where you come from, a little bit about your childhood. But first of all, let's talk about how you and I met, for the kind of speaker that we want to showcase at the Latin Talks. And Latin Talks is a series of talks and conversations where local Latin leaders like yourself, Jose, is going to be sharing their answers and solutions to challenges and adversities you once faced. But who is Jose? Where did you come from? Tell us about your childhood, your studies. How did you grow up? I know that early on you actually sold fruit door to door as a young boy, but you also worked construction at your aunt's business during the summertime, just to make enough money to get the stuff that you needed for yourself personally.
Well, Peter, first of all, I want to thank you for the invite and the interest, and give me the opportunity to share my story and my learnings and my setbacks and failures with the city of El Paso and my community here. Thank you for that opportunity. That's fantastic. And so I was raised on Chihuahua capital, as you will say. And I grew in a middle class home, and I was fortunate enough that my family always advised me about having education. Education is the path for that. So I followed the path of school. So every summer I have to have a summer job if I want to, have enough money for my own stuff. And so I moved from Chihuahua to Ciudad Juarez every single summer to work on the construction company, one of my family member, which is my aunt, which I see her as well as my guide, as my reference on business, and as my second mother. And but yeah, so that was the thing, and I get into the Instituto Tecnológico de Chihuahua. I studied industrial engineering with a specialty on manufacturing. And when I graduated in 2001, it wasn't any employment opportunities. So I spent one whole year trying to find a job opportunity on Chihuahua capital. So after that, and being underemploying myself and selling water filtration system and other stuff. So I moved to Ciudad Juarez, and finally I landed my first job on Delphi Automotive Systems, and they gave me the opportunity to be a packaging engineer on the Mexico Technical Center, which it was the world's largest facility for Delphi in the world to develop the projects on the next generation cars, or in the automotive industry. So I learned a lot, huge school over there. I find great mentors there that teach me and coach me about that, which is that's why I really focus and put a lot of importance on mentoring, because without the mentorship of those guys during my journey, family members or on the professional side, I wouldn't be able to do what I do right now. So it was fantastic. After that, I learned a lot, and I discovered I have a friend there, which is my business partner now here in the company, and we realized that there's a lot of frustration when you try to work with vendors on the packaging and logistics fields in the United States and in Mexico. So we say, you know what, it will be a good idea to create a company that really close the gap between the market and the industry. So, but after that, I left the company. I moved to Siemens, a German company on the automotive industry. So I was in charge of, everything on packaging for the fuel pumps manufacturing over there. I learned a lot as well for 3 years. And after that, we come up with the idea, and I say, you know what, I want to take the leap now. And I jump out of of my comfort zone. I left, good salary. I left insurance, all the protection and comfort that I used to have over there as an employee, right? And always as an employee, I was a great employee. I was always very diligent, very respectful of my goals and everything. And I think that it was part also of the of the of the well understanding of how do I want to do business, right? When I get out of that. So my wife was pregnant of my first son, of my second son, and we have on our arms our second our first son. So it was challenging, and we start all over from the ground, from scratch, no clients, and just cold calls.
Wow. And now you have a company. What's your annual revenue sales approximately, give or take?
Approximately $4 million.
Okay, great. Incredible. What an incredible story. Now, you talked about Delphi and you talked about Siemens. So the additional work training that you received was actually from foreign companies that were not Mexican companies, were companies that were part of the Maquila system in Chihuahua. Is that correct? Or Juarez? Was that in Juarez or in Chihuahua?
No, in Juarez, Ciudad Juarez.
Yeah, in
Yeah, in
Juarez.
Ciudad Juarez, we have more than 350 manufacturing companies from all over the world, manufacturing from TVs, medical devices, automotive parts, computers, toys, you name it.
Yeah. So you said something early on in your conversation when you started. You said your parents really encouraged education, and that education was the path. What is your opinion today, Jose, when we hear a lot of people on social media where we see Gary used to do it, Gary Vee used to do it, he doesn't do it as much anymore. Grant Cardone, from time to time, he does it. They talked about you don't need a college degree to be successful. Many people often make references to people like Elon Musk that dropped out of MIT, okay, in quotes, or Mark Zuckerberg that dropped out of Harvard University. So what do you think? You cited that the importance of education being the path to success. What do you think when you hear words or people saying that you don't need to go to college, you don't need an education?
I personally respect their opinion, but I think they are talking of only a few of cases of success that they drop college and they become those icons, worldwide icons, right, on business.
Unicorn.
But the reality is that millions and millions and millions of people are in education, and for me, education show me how to learn, That's the key for me. My major degree showed me the way to learn, right? And so that it's a huge capability when I graduate to keep learning and learning and learning again. So for me, I am pro college. I really invite everyone, if you have the opportunity to take a college degree, do it. For me, it was a game changer personally. So that's why I really enhance people or invite people to go to college, because for me it was a game changer. Without my college degree, I wasn't able to do anything of what I achieved.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that, because it goes back to what I was saying a minute ago. There's those are few and isolated cases in a world with a population of almost tipping 8 billion people, right? So there's only one Mark Zuckerberg, there's only one Elon Musk, okay, in a population of almost 8 billion people. Also, the reality is that they come from a very extensive and expansive social capital. Their family was already successful in their own right. Their parents had a formal education, but I often cite also to the fact that there's many Latino families that the first generation has not, many of them in many cases have not even finished high school, don't have a formal education, don't have a college degree. So you're exactly right when you say, number one is a foundation. But I think something that you said a second ago was that it taught you how to learn, right? It taught you how to process things and be able to identify processes and systems within yourself that took you and help you take your career to the next level. So I hope that's what you meant to say.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? We have, Peter, we have the wrong conception that once, we invest on education from, when you are in kindergarten until you graduate from college or master degree or whatever it is, and then you stop education there, right? And then you start obtaining experience, right? But we lost the huge opportunity of combining continuous education after that, combined with experience, and that creates a huge compound effect that it gives you a lot of advantages over others, right? So sadly, a lot of, and most on the Latino community, we think like, okay, I finished my degree, that's all, and then I go to the market and I employ myself there, and that's all. No more education. Thanks God, no more education. And is when you have to double and triple your efforts of education, so then you can become a different person and you can become an icon or a differentiator on the market.
Absolutely. And to your point, actually, this 4th of July, you were actually taking a master class, right?
Yes.
Because I saw your post on social media, and I actually thought to myself, wow, he really talks the talk and walks the walk. You were taking a master class, or you could have been at the lake or on the beach or whatever else you could have been doing. You decided to reinvest your time in master class. And you're exactly right. One of the reasons that we started Excelente and we started the series of Talks and Conversation Latin Talks is because we realized that in one area that we have seen developed communities truly advance is by doubling down and tripling down on education, and not so much of the traditional type of education, but in personal development, personal growth, master classes, courses, online courses, reading. Okay. We also saw that in developed communities where the children, instead of being off for the summer, they go to a camp. Okay. Well, my parents couldn't afford to send 13 little Mexicanitos to a camp, right? We're out there throwing the newspaper, figuring out what to do, how to hustle, right? So that gap right there, we lost. There was an opportunity that we missed to be able to enhance our talents and our abilities to even to create a social network, which is something that education or extended education is able to afford you. You're developing not only social skills, social network, and an education at the same time. So you're exactly right. you talked about mentoring, and you actually often talk about mentoring, and you also mentor young men. So tell us,
Yes.
where did you learn the process of mentoring? What does it mean to you, and how important is that we integrate that into the Latino community?
Well, I started, Peter, I started mentoring young entrepreneurs like 5 years ago when I happened to met one of the directors of Wadwani Foundation from Mexico City. We went to a Singularity University Global Summit in San Francisco. So we become friends there. And after a year, he called me. I was actually on a trade show of my industry in Guadalajara. And he called me. He called to myself and said, "You know what, Jose? I've been following you, and I think you should be a perfect mentor for small businesses in Latin America. So would you like to accept or invite to be one of the mentor and coaches?" And I say, "Yeah, absolutely." And so from that moment, I start mentoring and interacting with young guys, entrepreneurs on a different sectors like food, technology, service, products, you name it. And it's, I mean, to be honest, I learn a lot from them. I learn, I mean, how talented young people is in Latin America. And so I'm glad to be that. I also was mentoring a couple of young guys of 12 years old from Puerto Rico with, I mean, trying to change their narrative from this economical disadvantage person through entrepreneurship, change their narrative and become different and have an opportunity. So one of my friends from Stanford invited me to be a mentor for those two young kids from Puerto Rico. Also, I mentor young entrepreneurs from India in Calcutta. One of the doctors of Wadwani, he invited me to be listening the pitches and be judging and giving feedback to those young entrepreneurs that are about to graduate from engineering on Calcutta, India. And you know what? I was 1 a.m. in the morning. It was a heavy day during my office day. I mean, on my company here. And I was so exhausted when I joined the Zoom with the kids. But let me tell you, after an hour and a half of hearing those guys and looking the bright on their eyes and the passion and their humbleness and the greed to change the narrative and create a business model. I mean, I told the doctor, you know what? I can't go back to bed. I'm so pumped up that, I mean, I have a lot of adrenaline on my blood. And I thank you for that, because I feel a lot of gratitude to be on that position, to learn from them and give them back. So mentoring, it's a huge thing for me. And of course, I look for mentors for myself, guidance. I collect wisdom from others as well. And actually, Peter, I'm about to release maybe in a couple of months or less my first book of business. It's a guide for real life entrepreneurs, and it's get in the ring, and all the let's say the content is related or thematic to boxing. Why boxing? Because my father was a world champion in Mexico in 1958 on the Pan American Games. And so because of the heritage and the admiration that I feel for my father being a world champion, I always say, I mean, he was a fighter, and I'm a fighter, but he choose the ring as the arena, and I select the business arena. But we both of us are fighters, so I'm inspired by him, and so everything it's about boxing. It's instead of 12 chapters, we have 12 rounds, and it's full of wisdom of my 14 years as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, and full of setbacks, learnings, winnings, relationships, and a lot of things. So I put all that wisdom there, And the main intention of that is to keep small businesses and minority-owned businesses, I mean, relevant and thrive. And because if we achieve that, I will help to keep employment, to keep taxes on our communities, and that will create wealth and quality of life of every single community, right?
Absolutely. Wow. What an incredible analogy between your father choosing the boxing ring as his arena and you chose the business world as your arena to fight in. Is business truly a fight? Is it that challenging?
Oh, yeah. It's business is the ultimate sports arena.
Who is your biggest challenger in business, Jose?
My biggest challenger, I think myself. I consider myself my biggest challenger. I work every day to be at least 1% better than the other day, 1% or be better. And so that's why, I mean, going back to what you just say about on 4th of July, me taking a master class, I invest, Peter, at least 2 hours of constant education every day. I mean, and not necessarily needs to be expensive. It's, I mean, all over the place. I mean, sometimes I take, I mean, webinars, paid webinars, training, certifications, but also, I mean, there's a ton of great material on YouTube, on internet. So every single day, I commit myself from more than a decade ago to consume at least 2 hours of continuous education that it's helped me to improve the different areas of business like marketing or branding or emotional intelligence or sales or negotiation, all that. Because you know what, at the end of the day, when you face big challenges and big setbacks like the one I just told you in 2018, I mean, those are the skills and capabilities that make the difference on those defining moments.
Yeah, absolutely. I have like yourself, Jose, I have habits that have become rituals and rituals that have become a lifestyle. And I believe in what I call the 5 pillars as a system that I designed. And the 5 pillars includes physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial. And I truly believe that when you tend to those 5 pillars on a daily basis, you exit a state of survival, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Okay, you enter a state of flow and you're able to be here, present, and in the now, and you're able to see your life with clarity and possibilities. That doesn't mean that you don't face challenges or adversities. That means that you face your challenges and adversities with grace, dignity, and strength. So you're prepared for war. So yes, our biggest challenger every single day when we get up in the morning, our biggest challenger is ourselves. Is how we welcome that individual, how we look at him in the mirror, how we challenge him. What is that we do each and every day to prepare ourselves to go into the ring with ourselves? That's the only person we should be competing with each and every single day. And you're right. Like yourself, I make sure that I dedicate myself each and every morning, prayer, meditation, gratitude list, exercising, okay, reading, whatever it is that I need to do to align those 5 areas of my life so I'm able to operate. That doesn't mean I don't have any problems. It means that I look at my problems and I find the solution in the problem. I don't live in the problem. I live in the solution. And I think that is a mindset that does not permeate in our community, Jose. Particularly in the Latino community, because we don't talk about these issues. You have said a plethora of things through our conversation that really resonate with me. And one of them, you said, we get prepared to, our education ends whenever we get that master's degree or that PhD or that bachelor degree or the high school diploma, whatever it is, and it ends, okay? That is a typical, historical, generational form of education that we have been accustomed to receive. And then we go and commit ourselves, integrate ourselves into the workforce. And then it's almost like our soul dies. We don't do anything to grow the soul, to grow the spirit, to grow the mind, and to grow the body. And the reality is that many advanced communities many advanced communities, the reasons that they're advanced communities is because they're doing all those things. They're taking that masterclass. They're taking that mastermind. They're taking that course online. They're reading that ebook. They're going for a jog and listening to a podcast. They're constantly consuming information that is going to prepare them to get to their next level in life. Okay? You cannot assume that tomorrow is going to be the same as today. If you do, you're doomed. You're doomed.
I have a saying here in my company when we do meetings here, staff meetings. I mean, whatever it takes us from the beginning to here to this success, is not going to take us to where we want to be. So
Absolutely.
We have to change, we have to evolve, we have to increase our capabilities, our skills, challenge ourselves, and challenge our clients. And so that's kind of the drive that we have here in the company. That's what's helped us to survive and then strive during those crises, financial crises. And yeah, I'm with you in that philosophy that, I mean, you gotta be educating yourself every single day, Peter. No matter weekends, no matter what, because you know what, people, it's always waiting for Friday, right? Oh, the Friday. But you know what? I mean, it's good. It's good. Friday is good, but it's the beginning of other couple of days that you can use to boost yourself and to make a difference. So the compound effect of that over time is that, I mean, it's a big differentiator between you and others, right? And I mean, I don't do that because I want to brag of that or because I want to be, I mean, better than others. It's just because I know I need it for this arena that I select to live and to fight for.
Absolutely. And I want to touch a couple of things. Number one, you said something a second ago. You said, you know, we have to prepare ourselves every day for something different, because you're right. Every phase of our life requires a different us. We can't show up the same person a year from now. We have to show up completely different, because the world is moving at such a fast speed that we become obsolete if we stay still. Okay. And there's a lot of people that are waiting for Friday and dreading Monday. Okay, and what a misery way to live life, right? That I can't wait for Friday. I can't wait for Friday. Okay, so you can do what? Consume Netflix throughout the weekend, overeat. Okay, overspend, and then be miserable Monday morning when you go to work. Okay, but the reality, and you use the word compound. Okay. Every action that you take, that 1% that you compound each and every day gets you, okay, to 10x yourself, to 10x your business, to 10x your family, to 10x your community, to have an impact in everything that you do. But I think this is part, and I want to touch about this because there's a series of belief systems and even words, okay, that in the Latino culture have not been part of our vocabulary. As a matter of fact, compound is one of them. When we come from a cash-only transactional operating mindset, okay, we cannot think of compound interest. We cannot think of compound anything because we don't see that. That's not something that you know, my parents didn't have shit to compound. you get what I'm saying? I mean, it came in and it went out, and there was never enough. So nothing was ever going to compound. Okay, so I think a lot of times we need to make sure that we break that mindset. Okay, that we no longer continue to even use certain vocabulary. Oh, no puedo. No tengo, okay, no hay, me falta, okay. A lot of the words that have kept us prisoners, okay, of our own destinies, okay, allowing us not to be able to move forward because we continue to use a vocabulary, okay, a belief system that is holding us back. I want to cite a couple of statistics, and I want your input on this, okay. The 2020 census reported that there's 62.1 million Hispanics in the U.S. It is projected by 2060 there will be 111 million Hispanics in the U.S., estimating approximately that 1 out of every 4 Americans would be Hispanic. Okay, We also contributed as of 2020 census, $6.1 trillion to the US GDP. Okay. You know, and there's still 70% of us that live beyond the poverty line. Why is it with such an incredible statistics that the Latino culture is not progressing? And I'm only going to use this as a comparison meter, right? To the African American community, that in the last 20 years, they have had amassed incredible wealth. They have produced more millionaires and billionaires than Latinos by far. Their education level has increased. Why is it that that is not happening in our communities? In your opinion?
In my opinion, I think it's because cultural, they help each other, they protect each other, and they do business with each other, right? And
much like the Jewish community used to do.
Pardon me?
Much like the Jewish community used to operate.
Correct. Yes. And so, to be honest, I'm involved in a lot of minority certification in the United States and on my market. And I see the efforts more and more to change the narrative, to do business with each other, to learn from each other, to help each other on that. And I think it's coming. But yeah, I mean, we are falling behind as a Latinos on this narrative and on this mechanics and in this system. And for me, on my personal opinion, what I can do is doing what I'm doing with you, having those conversations, mentoring, doing that, and not just taking everything for myself and not spreading the seeds with other young guys and old guys. I mean, it doesn't matter. And it's a matter of be open to share knowledge with other Latino business owners, right? Like, hey, you know what? Here's a good place to do business. Come with me and let's go and do business together. Or, I mean, you know what? Here's a good lead for you. And before that, it used to be a lot of scarcity mindset, right? Like, no, everything for me, it will be a secret, and this is my secret sauce. And actually, I graduated from a Stanford Latino business program, and when I graduate, I was pushing to put more people from El Paso in that program, which is on Silicon Valley, and I'm fortunate enough to put at least 3 or 4 more business owners from El Paso. I don't want to be the only one, right? But right. I want to help others that have the intention and they are intentionals to be the bridge for them to be there, and then they must do the same exercise all over again. So that way we create again those type of words, compound effect of changing the narrative in 10 years, 20 years. But that's the only way. And education, constant education, and evangelizing people about, awareness about this, awareness about education, about, money, about business, how to do business. I mean, to be honest, small business owners, Latino business owners, we have a lot of lack of education, of continuous education. We think that because we create a company or a small business model, that's all. We are successful, and that's game over, baby. Yeah. No, and it's perpetual. We have to keep the mindset to keep evolving, because at the minimum change on the market, you will be out of the game.
There's a couple of words. You use the word scarcity mindset, and you use the I have the secret sauce, but the secret sauce is for me only. Okay. And you also said that we need to have these conversations. Why had these conversations not had before? Why were these conversations not happening before? Why?
Again, I think it's cultural. It's a cultural thing, educational, and it's, you know what? Let's be honest. We don't have the same virality of the same advantages with the internet that back then on the 80s and the 90s, right? I grew in the 80s, and back then, we didn't have the ability or the benefit of the speed of communication, the speed of information that we have right now. So now that we have that free platform for everyone, we have to jump into that one and take advantage of those resources and spread the word, right? And also, as a business owner, try to get involved in other groups around the nation, around the world, and don't be just from home to the office, because you will be very short on wisdom and vision to take decisions for your business and for your family. So if you, interact with other great minds around the nation in different markets and all that, that is going to add a lot of value in yourself. And then you have to cascade that into your organization, right? Or into your group of friends. So that's the way of, that's another initiative that I believe a lot, which is networking and putting yourself in a position to win.
You said, of course, you said networking, but let's talk about your group of friends. Okay, there's a very common saying in the Caucasian community that we become the total sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with. What does that mean to you, Jose?
Well, it's a fact, 100%. So yeah, you become the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time every single day, right? So if you are with bad people, all over the day, with bad behaviors or bad mindset and all that, you will be the 6th guy with the same mentality and all that. So, being aware of that, I always try to be in the right rooms with the right conversations, and also to create the right rooms for others, right? To cascade that knowledge and that wisdom and that, why no, those failures, right? Share my failures with others so that other guys can learn from me and be better than me. And actually, my main topic with my 2 teenagers, it's always, you have to be better than me. That's my main goal. In terms of, and by better, I'm not talking about money or things like that. I'm talking like, a better person, a better father, a better son. A better citizen, right? A better citizen and a happier citizen, a happier person. So if I can achieve that, I'm done, man. I'm good to go. And that should be our mindset. And also, if you can apply that mindset to your organization, to your group of friends, it's how we create or we change little by little the narrative, right? But you gotta be very aware on the rooms that you're sitting down or the rooms you spend your time, because if you don't have that awareness, it's very easy to fall down.
And let's talk a little bit. Let's expand on that a little bit more, because we need to understand that all transformation requires a process, and the process also requires creating boundaries and curating a lifestyle that allows you to maximize your time in order for you to be able to maximize your wisdom, right? So you say, you got to make sure that you try to participate in different events, make sure that you're in the right rooms, which also means that in order to do all of that, you got to have a clear mindset. Okay. Yes, we have a plethora of information. We have access to YouTube. We have access to TikTok. We have access to Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn and Pinterest and Twitter and on and on and on and on. Facebook and Clubhouse, and I can go on and on with the plethora of tools and devices and information that are available out there. But you need to also become selective. You need to curate your life. You need to know what you want, and then you need to make that part of your 5, part of becoming the average of the total 5, we also become the total average of the things that we consume. Okay, are we consuming negative music? Are we consuming negative movies? Are we just spending our time scrolling up and down Facebook and Instagram, wasting our time, being unproductive? Okay, so the reality is that we all have to put a certain amount of sacrifice in order to see the greatest benefit from our times and our efforts. And we just think that things are going to come to us magically, in a world where people say, oh, you can manifest a life that you want. Yeah, but you still got to do the fucking work.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I can sit here, meditate and pray and do all the things, but I still got to show up at the office. I still got to be productive. I still got to be creative. I still got to be innovative. But what happens with us by creating a lifestyle of rituals, okay, and disciplines, you create and develop a mindset of creativity, innovation, and activity. And that's what happens when we begin to have these conversations. Jose, let's we're coming up on the top of the hour, but and I want to begin to wrap it up. There's a couple of things that permeate very heavily in the community, in the Latino community: physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, and machismo. Okay, yeah. How do we eradicate those out of the community? What do we do in order to ensure that those things do not continue to hold back the Latino community?
I mean, the easiest and shortest answer is to change where you are, right? I mean, your home, your office, your group of friends, right? I mean, so if you change, if you avoid all that and you ban all those topics, I mean, eradicate those behaviors from your house and your business, that's a big win, right? And and if we spread the word about that with other business owners, and we create awareness about that, I think that's the easiest way to really make a change, to make a real change that will endure, right? Otherwise, I mean, if I come here and talk about all those topics and yada yada, but I come back to home and I'm a macho and I'm a jerk with my kids or my family. I mean, that doesn't mean that I'm perfect and I don't make mistakes and I don't commit mistakes. Of course I do. I fall short in a lot of stuff, but at least I have the awareness, of constant improvement and the awareness of what's good, what's bad, right? And as you previously said, I mean, it's very easy. Garbage in, garbage out. That's pretty simple, right? And so I think that's the easiest way, and something realistic that we can do to change the narrative on our Latino community on those topics. It's by changing the narrative on our own homes and our own offices.
Love it. Love it. Let's wrap it up by tell us, what is your daily routine? You say you spend at least 2 hours learning, growing, expanding your mindset, who you are, how do you show up every day to your office, to your community, to your home. So what are some of the rituals that you do on a daily basis?
Well, for sure, it's a learning process. Of course, I take care of my main activities as a CEO and president of my company on the logistics and the packaging, and I try to evangelize as well my organization. And you know what? I have to confess, I have crazy nights, my crazy mind. I mean, I'm the type of guy that sometimes I'm up at 3 a.m. Actually, the introduction of my book, I wrote down that one in one single day at 3:30 a.m. in the morning, because I don't know why, but I'm wired that way, that I jump out of there. And I have a rule: if it takes me more than 20 minutes to fall asleep again on 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., I prefer to walk out of the bed and start doing something productive, like reading going forward into my activities of the morning. And also, now since pandemic, I have to confess, I spend more time with my family, with my kids. Pandemic was a fantastic season, personal season for me to better know my family, my kids, but because to be honest, I'm a grinder. I'm very old school, so I just be very all hands on my company and trying to grow and all that. And so when pandemic hits, I spent like a year and a half on my home. I mean, and it was one of the best years ever, also for the company and for my family and personal relationships. And I grow in relationships like crazy. Like, how come a Latino, Mexican-American guy from El Paso happens to be a good friend of the founder of Reebok, right? Of the iconic brand. I mean, it's because of that mindset. It's because of those conversations that I'm able to build and construct. And so that's part of my routine during the day. I mean, I spend, believe it or not, even that I'm on the way, I spend 25 minutes almost every day on my Peloton bike. In the mornings, I do my master classes on my learnings, and I grab my cup of coffee, check my emails. I spend on conversations with my wife, my kids, and then I go back to learning again and to my computer with my family. I love cigars. I'm a cigar aficionado. So like 3 times a week, I love to go into my backyard and look the grass, the green of the grass, enjoy a cappuccino with my cigar, just to relax. And even there, I'm productive. I'm taking notes of ideas, and every single day I take notes of ideas that I reevaluate every month.
I love it. I love it. José Ochoa. José Ochoa, a excelente Latino that you are going to be able to hear his story again, or expanded part of his life story at Latin Talks in El Paso, Texas, September 24th of this year. Looking forward to seeing José. Looking forward to meeting you in person, José. Thank you so much for your time.
Muchas gracias, Peter. Thank you, and gracias por making us excelente.
Gracias a ti.